The nights of Egypt were always deeper than darkness, as if thousands of years of buried secrets breathed beneath the sand. Right in the middle of this endless desert stood a small village called Al-Qasr, where people believed that at night you could hear the breaths of ancient spirits whispering through the wind. In this village lived a 19-year-old boy named Zayyan, curious by nature, a bit brave, and maybe a little too emotional for his own good. His grandfather was an old historian, a keeper of forgotten tales who owned a strange ancient map. It was a map he never showed to ordinary people, a secret kept under lock and key. The map itself was worn, cracked, and dusty, smelling of time and sand. And on it, inscribed in a language almost lost to memory, were the words, "The tomb of the sleepless king." Legend said this pharaoh had received a divine curse, a punishment for some terrible transgression. He could not die. He remained conscious for eternity, feeling everything like a living corpse trapped inside his own tomb, a prisoner in his own body for millennia. Zayyan's grandfather always warned him, his voice low and serious, never ever open that tomb. The curse is not just his, it becomes the curse of the one who touches him. For years, Zayyan dismissed it as just another story, a scary tale told to keep children in line. But one night, everything changed. A storm was gathering in the desert, a swirling mass of sand and darkness that threatened to swallow the world. The village of Al-Qasr was plunged into an unnatural blackness. Through the howling wind, Zayyan heard something else, something that didn't belong. A faint old bell was ringing, a distant, melancholic chime that seemed to be coming from deep beneath the earth. Curiosity, that powerful, dangerous force, took hold of him instantly. He couldn't ignore it. He grabbed his flickering torch, tucked the forbidden map into his pocket, and stepped out into the raging night. The desert was a chaotic sea. Sand dunes rose and fell like monstrous waves in a storm. The cold air, sharp and biting, brushed against his face, carrying with it a whisper that coiled around his ears. Turn back, but Zayyan didn't stop. The map, ancient and fragile, guided him through the tempest. It led him to a place he had never seen before, a half-buried, broken pyramid, its peak shattered against the stormy sky. It was covered in dust, cracked, ancient, and radiated an aura of profound sorrow. On the capstone, a single symbol glowed with a faint, ethereal light, the Eye of Ra. It was as if the sun god himself had cursed this place to remain awake forever, never knowing the peace of darkness. With his heart pounding against his ribs, Zayyan pushed open the heavy stone door. A blast of freezing air, stale with the scent of ages, rushed out to meet him, nearly extinguishing his torch. He shielded the flame, and as it steadied, its light revealed the horrors within. The walls of the descending passage were carved with human faces, their expressions frozen in silent agony. He began to descend a long, steep staircase. Each step was marked with a dried, dark red line, as if something had been dragged down into the depths long ago. Below, the passage opened into a massive circular chamber. In the very center stood a huge stone sarcophagus, imposing and silent. Carved upon its lid was a stark warning, a final plea from the builders of this tomb. Do not wake the sleepless king. And below that, another line. Stay away from the one who knows no rest. Zayyan's heart hammered in his chest. His hands trembled so badly he could barely hold the torch steady. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to flee this place of eternal suffering. But his curiosity, that relentless, burning need to know, won the battle. He had to see. He had to know if the legend was true. Taking a deep, shuddering breath, he placed his hands on the heavy stone lid and pushed. He lifted it, just a little, just enough to peer inside, and inside. The pharaoh opened his eyes. They weren't the eyes of a mummy, of a dead thing. They were alive, conscious, and they stared straight at him. The pharaoh was trapped, unable to move, but his eyes held the undiluted pain of 3,000 years of silent, lonely awareness. It was a gaze that didn't scream for revenge, but begged for release. They were pleading silently, "Free me." Suddenly, a blinding golden light erupted from the sarcophagus, filling the chamber and throwing everything into stark relief. The wind outside roared like a waking beast. A thunderous voice, ancient and powerful, echoed through the stone, shaking the very foundations of the pyramid. "The cursed shall never be freed," it boomed, "but the one who touches him shall inherit his curse." Zayyan's hand was still on the coffin. He felt a terrifying cold spread up his arm, a force that felt like it was pulling his very soul out of his body. His entire frame began to shake uncontrollably, his voice trapped in his throat. He tried to scream, to cry out, but no sound came out. The chamber glowed all night, a beacon of terrible transformation in the heart of the storm. His face twisted in a silent rictus of pain, his eyes widened in horror. His breath slowed, became shallow, and then darkness swallowed everything. At sunrise, the storm had passed. The villagers, worried for the boy who had vanished into the night, found Zayyan lying on the sand outside the pyramid. He was breathing, but his eyes were wide open, staring blankly at the sky, holding the same ancient pain he had seen in the eyes of the cursed Pharaoh. And deep inside the tomb, in the silent chamber, the sarcophagus was once again closed. But something had changed. A new name was freshly carved into the stone, right below the old one. It read, Zayyan. The villagers still whisper the story in hushed tones. "The sleepless king is free now," they say. He finally found his rest. And Zayyan has taken his place. And now, whenever the desert wind howls at night, a new whisper travels across the dunes. A lonely, desperate plea carried on the breeze. "Do not wake me, or you will take my place."